All right, let's jump right into the 2025 State of AI report. We're going to cut through all the headlines and the hype to see what's really going on with this technology right now and where things are actually headed. Okay, so here's the deal. The story of AI this year is really a story of two completely different worlds. It's this fundamental paradox. On one side, you have this absolutely mind-bending acceleration at the very edge of what's possible. And on the other, a brutal collision with reality. A reality that we're calling the wall. So what we're really seeing is this big shift. We're moving out of an era of pure discovery, where we were all just constantly shocked by what these models could do, and into a new era of deployment. And this is where the really hard part begins, trying to weave this incredible tech into the fabric of the real world.
So first, let's talk about that crazy fast part, the acceleration. There is no better way to see this than in the fierce code-red arms race happening between the top AI labs. Honestly, the pace has become absolutely relentless.
Now this is where things get wild. Just look at how these innovation cycles have compressed. We're not talking about years anymore, we're talking about weeks. So in August, OpenAI launches GPT-5. Then, boom, in November, Google drops Gemini 3 and completely changes the game. OpenAI literally declared an internal code red and in less than a month scrambled to push out GPT 5.2 just to try and catch up. It is an unprecedented sprint. So what is the System 2 thinking that got everyone so fired up? Well, it's the crucial breakthrough of the year. It's really the difference between an AI that just knows stuff and one that can truly reason. Instead of spitting out the first answer it comes up with, these new models kind of think to themselves. They run through an internal monologue, exploring different ways to solve a problem and correcting themselves along the way. That is what allowed Gemini 3 to just crush the benchmarks for complex math and coding. And the explosion isn't just in text. Check out generative video. We've now got this three-way battle for the top spot. OpenAI's Sora 2 can create video with perfectly synchronized audio. Google's Veo 3 is, of course, deeply tied into YouTube. But the big shocker was Runway's Gen 4.5. It took the #1 spot on the leaderboards thanks to its new David architecture, which finally cracks the code on object permanence, meaning stuff doesn't just, randomly morph or vanish anymore. The physics feel real. But, and this is a huge but, all this incredible progress comes at a price. Getting access to these powerful video models is really, really hard. And this quote from OpenAI's Bill Peebles explains exactly why. The sheer amount of energy and computer power needed is so immense that they've literally hit a physical limit. The bottleneck isn't the software anymore. It's raw power and the ability to keep things from overheating. And this progress isn't just happening on screens. For the first time, we're seeing humanoid robots doing real, valuable work out in the wild. Figure O2 put in over 1,200 hours at a BMW plant, meeting their super strict cycle times. At the same time, Agility Robotics Digit has moved over 100,000 supply totes and is even being integrated by Amazon. This is no longer some R&D lab experiment. We are talking about actual ROI. Okay, so we've seen the incredible acceleration. Now let's flip the coin. Let's look at the other side of the story and see how all this amazing frontier tech is hitting a massive wall in the real world. This is where the hype train crashes into the hard, painful reality of actually getting things done. And wow, the numbers really tell the story here. Look at this. While a huge majority of companies, like 62%, are experimenting with AI agents, a tiny fraction, just 23%, have actually gotten them to work at scale, in production. There's this massive chasm between a cool pilot project and a reliable business process that you can count on. So what's the holdup? It's not the tech, not really. It's about reliability. Forrester is predicting that 3/4 of companies trying to build their own AI agents are just going to fail. And why? Because managing these systems, stopping them from making things up, and controlling what they can and can't do is just incredibly, incredibly complex. A perfect example of this exact implementation gap is in autonomous vehicles. On one side, you have Waymo. They're running a massive, fully driverless service, doing 250,000 paid trips every single week. On the other side, you have Tesla's Cybercab. It's still a very small pilot, it still needs a human supervisor in the car, and it missed its deployment targets for the year. It's just a stark contrast in strategy and, well, in execution. So you might be asking, if all the flashy generative AI stuff is hitting a wall, where's the real money being made right now? Well, the answer lies in the less hyped, kind of boring, but far more profitable world of what you might call traditional machine learning.
Predictive analytics. This has quietly become a nearly $17.5 billion market. It's the safe harbor for AI investment because it delivers tangible results, like reducing factory downtime by 20%. That's real, measurable value that a CFO can actually understand and sign off on.
A lot of this is being powered by this really cool tech called graph neural networks, or GNNs. So instead of looking at data in neat rows and columns like a spreadsheet, GNNs see data as a network of connections. This lets them understand relationships and make incredibly accurate predictions. It's actually how Uber Eats was able to improve its recommendation accuracy by over 50%.
And it's not just about recommending tacos. This tech is literally saving lives. In healthcare, new AI tools are being used as a second pair of eyes for mammograms, and they're helping radiologists increase cancer detection rates by a staggering 21%. This is where the impact of AI becomes incredibly profound and very, very personal. Okay, so all of this, the crazy acceleration on one side and the painful implementation wall on the other, it all leads us to this final, really critical idea for the future, what the report calls the great filter of AI implementation. This is what's going to separate the science fiction from the reality. And here's the key takeaway, the most important point. The barrier to getting value from AI isn't capability anymore. We know the tech can do amazing things. We have models that can reason and robots that can work. The barrier is how we successfully integrate it into our world. And that huge integration challenge really boils down to these three big filters. First, energy, the very real physical limits of power and compute. Second is trust. You just can't have an AI agent spending company money if you don't understand how it makes its decisions. And third is labor. The conversation is shifting away from mass unemployment and more toward how jobs themselves will change and evolve around these new tools. So, the ultimate question this report leaves us with isn't about who can create the next piece of technological magic. It's about who can do the hard, unglamorous work of engineering reliability, building trust, and navigating the physical constraints of our world. That's who's going to win the next decade of AI.